Imagine growing up in a family where your siblings are, quite literally, your deadliest competition, where your stepmothers play politics as though it were a blood sport, where the family dinner table generally requires a royal food taster, and your father is rather too busy conquering half the known world to bother turning up to parent evening. Welcome to your life as Ögedéi, third son of the great Genghis Khan. You are, by any reasonable measure, the least likely person in the entire Mongol Empire to end up running it. Your first glimpse of life is a blur of faces. There is your birth mother, at least 17 stepmothers, for whom you will eventually need a ledger just to keep track, and enough siblings to populate a reasonably sized village. Another boy, someone announces flatly, marvelous, just what this family needed. Another contestant in the most lethal reality program ever devised, Keeping Up with the Khans. Your father, Genghis Khan, is otherwise engaged, conquering somewhere or other. So instead of any sort of welcome celebration, you receive a swift assessment from the family elder, the venerable grandmother M. She grips your legs, prods your chest, and peers at you with the detached efficiency of a horse dealer at a county fair. Strong legs, good for riding. Large lungs, good for battle cries. Right, deeply appreciated, grandmother. Being the third son is rather like being the middle child in a family of champion archers. You are not quite the heir, not quite the spare. You are simply there. Your elder brothers, Jochi and Chagatai, are already squabbling over who gets to inherit the empire, whilst you are merely trying to work out how to survive your first afternoon without being trampled by a herd of horses conveniently misplaced by one of your more ambitious stepmothers. Your first archery lesson arrives at the age of 2, because in this family, if you can walk, you can shoot. Welcome to the rest of your life. Young man, do hope you're rather fond of fermented maize milk, because that is essentially all that's on offer in the canteen. You are 5 years old and already learning that Mongol military training makes a British Army boot camp look like a rather pleasant weekend in the countryside. Your daily schedule is as follows. Rise at dawn, endeavor not to be kicked in the face by your horse, practice archery until your fingers are positively ruined, and determine which of your stepmothers actually remembers your name today. Higher, faster. You shoot like a drowsy goat. Your instructor bellows as you attempt to hit targets whilst galloping at full tilt. Nothing quite like positive reinforcement. Mongol style, your elder brothers watch from their mounts, running a sweepstake on whether you'll come off today. The joke, of course, is that you've already fallen off 3 times and your bruises have acquired their own bruises. At this point, your body is held together primarily by sheer stubbornness and fermented maize milk. The midday break brings your first encounter with the family's signature delicacy, horse meat. Get stuck in, grins Chagatai, shoving a plate towards you. It's what makes a proper warrior. The meat is so extraordinarily tough, it might as well be saddle leather. Think of it as endurance training for your jaw. Jochi laughs. You are fairly certain this particular horse was already ancient when your father first set off to conquer the world. Speaking of endurance, consider for a moment the particular joy of living on a permanent road trip. Just when you finally worked out which end of the yurt is least likely to collapse in a strong wind, the order arrives to pack up and move on. Break camp. Your father commands from somewhere in the distance. He calls it strategic mobility. You call it never having a stable address for receiving correspondence. Then there's the cold. We are talking about weather cold enough to freeze maize milk mid-pour. Minus 40 degrees is simply a Tuesday in Mongolia. Your siblings run a sweepstake on who'll get frostbite first, whilst your eyebrows accumulate more icicles than actual hair. At least we have all this horse meat to keep us warm, Chagatai remarks cheerfully, chipping ice off his saddle, though I genuinely cannot tell whether this piece is frozen or simply more leathery than usual. Sword training follows, and your siblings turn absolutely everything into a competition. Last one to draw blood cleans the yurts, declares Jochi. They call it practice. It feels rather more like an exceedingly pointy form of family therapy. You are improving, though yesterday you actually managed to block 3 strikes before face planting in the date. Progress, of a sort. Between dodging arrows, sidestepping political schemes, and attempting to remember which brother you're currently feuding with, you are, against all reasonable odds, surviving. Though you cannot help noticing that your father's idea of parental supervision consists mainly of receiving reports from generals, punctuated by the occasional grunt of "don't die." Touching, really. Your first proper campaign arrives rather sooner than expected. Faster, in fact, than your father's latest addition to the family. He has decided you're ready to join the family business, aggressive territorial acquisition across Asia. The pressure is considerable. Time to prove you are rather more than the awkward middle child who is, admittedly, surprisingly good at not getting killed. Try to keep up, little brother, Ögedéi shouts as you ride out. Your position in the formation is approximately as prestigious as being the understudy in someone else's West End production. You are technically part of the show, but nobody's watching. Then the ambush hits. The next hour is pure chaos, dust, steel, noise, and instinct. Everything you've been drilled into doing kicks in without conscious thought. When your father arrives with reinforcements, you have not merely survived. You have turned the ambush into a victory. Not entirely dreadful, your father grunts. In Genghis Khan's emotional vocabulary, that is essentially a tearful embrace. Your brothers look at you rather welcome, then to Mongol court politics, where the intrigue runs hotter than a desert campaign and is twice as lethal, even when everyone is confined to the same yurt during a -40 blizzard. You are learning rather quickly that surviving battle is actually the straightforward part. Navigating family dinner requires genuine strategic brilliance. Your brothers are playing four-dimensional chess whilst you're still trying to work out which of your father's advisors is spying for which stepmother. At least the freezing temperatures keep everyone too numb to wield a poison dagger with any real accuracy. Another drink, inquires suspiciously amiable cousin. You have learned to examine your cup with the same thorough paranoia you apply to checking your saddle straps. Being third in the line of succession means everyone assumes they can either use you or ignore you. The rather pleasing joke is that being underestimated functions rather like an invisibility cloak in a court full of backstabbers. Your father is watching. Naturally, between campaigns, he is running his own succession game, and it is sufficiently complicated that the word succession rather deserves repeating twice. You begin to notice how he tests each son differently. Jochi receives military commands, Ögedéi administrative responsibilities, and you increasingly peculiar situations that seem suspiciously designed to assess both your judgment and your tolerance of ceremonial quantities of wine. As it transpires, those tests meant considerably more than anyone had supposed. A month later, the entire empire gathers for what feels very much like the grand finale of the world's most dangerous talent competition, the succession announcement. The tension is thick enough to slice with a ceremonial sword, which, knowing your family, someone might actually attempt. Your father stands before the assembly looking precisely like a man who is either about to name his heir or launch another invasion of China. With him, it is genuinely always a toss-up. Everyone is betting on Jochi or Ögedéi. You are simply hoping to get through the occasion without having to consume more fermented maize milk than your liver can sensibly manage. My chosen successor, Genghis Khan announces, pausing for dramatic effect with the confidence of a man who has never once doubted himself, is Ögedéi. I beg your pardon, you nearly fall off your horse, which would have been tremendously embarrassing for the newly announced future Khan. The crowd reaction is a marvelous mixture of shock, bewilderment, and the rapid mental recalculation of political allegiances. Your brothers' hands drift instinctively towards their sword hilts, always a reassuring sight at family gatherings. Your father, however, is not finished. Ögedéi possesses what this empire requires. He declares, you raise your cup and address your sons with unexpected clarity. An empire built on conquest is easily won but devilishly hard to keep. Remember this. True strength is found not in swords or horses, but in the bonds we forge. Only together can you carry this legacy forward. Your final feast with Abdul Rahman proves rather more festive than originally planned. As the wine flows with particular enthusiasm, you reflect on your life. You were not the strongest. You were not the most ferocious. But you kept the empire intact, and in doing so proved that leadership is not about dominating others. It is about holding them together. In your final moments, you smile quietly, thinking of your father. At least, you murmur, I kept them from killing each other. Mostly. And with that, you slip into history, leaving behind a lesson as enduring as the empire itself. Greatness lies not in conquest, but in building something worth preserving.